Yeah, verify, yeah, losing a job, because of course if you don't perform, you lose their jobs.
Kenneth, cash flow.
Okay, cash flow, stakeholders, fantastic. Security, yeah, cyber security, yes, a very big thing.
Well, obviously these people will never sleep.
Yeah, these people will never sleep, right? I mean, look at Fermin, he lost all his hair when he was a senior leader.
And half my weight.
Culture, toxic culture, fantastic. So you can see there are just so many considerations, right? And it's very important because what you are attempting to influence the buyer, the final decision maker, is usually on some matrices. It's never, it's never an idea. They try to have they have very, very specific numbers they're looking for. They call it KPIs, they call it key results, And I want to share with you, if you can understand what is really painful to the decision maker, you will always get their attention. Does it make sense? Okay, you must understand and speak the numbers or the words that the key decision makes or always thinks about, and you will always catch their attention. So let's talk about what are the numbers or what's really on their mind. Okay, this is not an exhaustive list. I will put them into two categories. It's what we call the increase category and the decrease category. What do we want to increase? Revenue, sales. Yeah, definitely. And it's not just revenue, sales. Even the CEO is about EBITDA. Okay, EBITDA, the very keyword. If you're not sure what's EBITDA, it's a very big word. Earnings before interest, taxes, amortization, depreciation, taxes. Yeah. So all this is really important to them because profitability is key, right? Revenue is, someone once said, revenue is what? Revenue is vanity. Profitability is sanity. Cash is king. Okay, that's very important. Cash is king. Yeah, really. So they want profits, right? They want productivity. They're always thinking about how do we increase our productivity, right? And of course, how can we increase more market share, client satisfaction, NPS scores? So if you're not using these words that your clients understand, you're probably not going to be on top of their mind, Yeah, because you'll be another program. Yeah, so you need to capture their attention. And of course, there's always the decrease category as well. We want to decrease costs, we want to decrease risk, lead time, loss of talent, and sometimes you can even quantify what does loss of talent mean, right? Can you afford to leave this seat vacant for 3 months? A lot of them will probably say, well, I maybe can't, because operationally you will create a lot of problems. We are already very lean. We can't afford people keep leaving us. It's costing us money. Yeah, so if you can translate into something they understand, you're going to always catch the attention of the leader. So your job is to speak in a language that they understand. So go to market, how fast are you? They want to decrease the time to go to market. If you have ideas, let's quickly move to market. Go to market as soon as you can, because these are important. So with this in mind, so I need you to always think about what the leader is facing. What are some challenges? So we have a very large contract with a local hospital, a public hospital. Interestingly, hospitals don't need money. They have money. Okay, they have money, but they are focused in 3 matrices. Number 1 is about patient safety, patient experience, and what we call throughput. Throughput is a term that the healthcare people will understand fully, where a patient enters the system into the hospital and how fast they go out. So they want the throughput as short as possible. Okay, and it's important while balancing the other numbers. Okay, so these numbers are always in view with other numbers. It's not alone. And the faster they can turn over a patient, the better it is, right? So of course the program definitely has to address this, right? Because if you are not addressing these numbers that are important to them, you will always be in the back of mind a good program, good to have program, but not an absolute must-have program. So I need to ingrain upon you that this is really important. Okay, so in this discussion, we need to uncover what's really important to the client. Okay, so I run this program called Small Steps to Big Changes. We are teaching the client basically 3 main things. Number 1, how to create possibilities at work. And of course, number 2, how do we focus on what works rather than what doesn't work in an organization. And most conversations usually revolve around failure. It's very difficult to move forward when you keep talking about failure, because failure tells you what doesn't work and what you shouldn't do, but it doesn't tell you how to be successful. So we hold conversations around what works And then the last part is how do we create forward momentum to the numbers that are important to us. So we actually have this program, we run it, and we've been running it for a few hundred people, and after a while, once we get a critical mass, we can do even more and more things. So I'll run through the whole thought process of how we do it, and I hope that at the end of the day, when you speak to a client, you start engineering the whole process. So my challenge to you is to move away from what we call transactional programs, which are like 1-2 day programs, Fantastic, I know you're good in it, but then the question is always, how do you measure that it's really effective? Most people just find it difficult. They know it's useful, but they just can't measure it for whatever reasons, And I want to suggest it's because we don't have a very tight follow-up system. We don't have a way to determine what's before and after as well. So if you can measure that difference, all of a sudden you're going to be a lot more relevant to delivering my objectives. Does it make sense? Yeah, and it's very important to speak in this way. Okay, so I will outline this is a framework that we personally have developed. Okay, for 8 years we have been trying to create one, and then after that we finally cast in stone this framework. Okay, we have modified the whole approach, and I hope you will not take 8 years to develop yours. By listening to this, you will be done very fast. Okay, so it's basically our 5Ds approach. So the first one, let's talk about the first one. Discuss business needs, and this is very important. Sometimes when you meet the client comes up to you and asks, so tell me more about your program. Has that been used on you before? Tell me more about what you do. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Because when you start talking about program, you fall in love with your program. Oh, we can do this, we can do that. Then the person will just look at you. Okay, yeah, good, yeah, great. Okay. We'll call you next time, okay? Has that been used on you before? Yeah, why? Because if you keep talking about your program, you have no idea why this conversation even start. Right? What are your business needs? What are the problems are we really addressing? If you don't understand the needs very clearly upfront, we are just shooting arrows in all directions and hoping that one or two of them will hit. And that's why some conversations don't turn out well. So we need to spend time talking about the business needs. What's really important to you? What do you want to see different? So what are the key results that's really, really important to you at the end of the day? What do you want your people to have? What kind of mindset shift? And get some clue and reality of what is the preferred future. And that's so important, because if we don't establish that clearly, everything else we say does not really make sense. Because we are just shooting a lot of arrows in this direction and hoping that one of them will hit. So whatever we say needs to be targeted and tailored to their actual needs. So take time to discover what's important to them and find out what their real pains and challenges are. And not only that, okay, because I know a lot of you talk about needs analysis, you find out needs, but I want you to do something even more interesting. Focus on implications of the problem. And this is the one that will get you their attention. Focus on, okay, so if you're losing staff constantly because of lack of trust and communication, I'm just curious, what is it costing you right now? What's the business cost for it? How is it affecting you? Does it cripple certain parts of the operations? And then that's where they start realizing, oh my goodness, it's more than just a program. You're actually helping me to solve a real problem, and therefore you have moved up my priority list. Okay, you are actually solving real things that is important to me. So the implications are very important. So spend time just talking about problems, implications. Problems, implications. Okay, just follow this simple format. P and then the I. The P and the I. And let the client carry you. What do you think are some? Yeah, and don't guess for them. Just tell them, what will it be, if there's this constant silo that's happening right now? How is it affecting your organization? Then they will start saying, it's not happening, we cannot move fast, there's a lot of error rates, there are a lot of problems that we're not addressing upfront. Okay, so what is it costing you? Can you see a pattern in the way we talk? And after that, you have, like I said, once you have done this successfully and repeatedly after a few times, then you realize you have moved up the value chain really. Now you start realizing, okay, you are really solving a real problem that I have. And I definitely need to explore what you have to offer. Okay? So we are moving you from a good to have to really a problem solver. Someone that really makes sense and that can really solve my immediate business needs. Okay, so first stage, discuss business needs. Second stage, okay, we in our 5Ds model, we have the, okay, so in large organizations, I also realized one thing. A lot of them, I can tell you, there's a lack of alignment. Sometimes there's just serious lack of alignment of a lot of things. Okay, so for example, before alignment, you can see every department just shooting their arrows, in different directions, and hopefully some of them will be landing. And our job, right, is to keep focusing on what's important to the leader and moving everybody all shooting in the same direction. Well, it sounds simple, but sometimes getting them to remember. And how we do it is basically just asking them what's really important at the end of the day. What are some numbers that's really important? If you can just synthesize the 50 over numbers that is important to you, what are just a few that will be important to you, okay? And bear that in mind. So that's how we get everybody aligned to shooting. And whatever they're going to do has to be aligned to these few key numbers or key results that you're looking for. Okay, so alignment is really important, especially in large organizations, because they don't like activities, but sometimes they lack aligned activities. Okay, second thing, we talk about leadership involvement.
Sorry,
Yeah.
is this like how we measure success?
Yeah, you can ask that as well. Yeah, how will you measure success? Yeah. Possible as well. Yeah. Second stage, we define the leadership involvement. Here's what happens. So a lot of leaders say, my people need the training. Everything is all fix my people, and after that everything will be okay, right? Somehow they don't realize that they could also be part of the problem of the equation as well. Yeah, and that's where we say, okay, great, we can do that. But I'm just curious, what's your part in it? And then you look at me, you mean I need to do something? Yeah, I'm just curious, If it's culture needs to be leader-led. It cannot be delegated to a committee. Okay, it cannot be. Because a committee just does recommendations, but they cannot decide. Yeah, it needs to be leader-led. And then you look at you and say, wow, okay, I didn't realize that we need to do something more about it. And that's where you need to discuss with the leader what's the whole involvement in the whole process. How can they involve in helping their staff succeed? If, for example, if it's an organizational key result. But if it's something that's specific for them, they talk about, I think it's easier, but a lot of times it's usually with the middle managers or even my head of departments, there's some challenges. Can you help them do it? So remember, there's always a certain level of leadership involvement. Right? And in our program, we actually talk to all the reporting officers in advance, telling them that your people need to attend this program and you need to give a briefing, a personal briefing. So we give them a script. Because most people, when they go for training programs, I can tell you, some of them don't even know why they're there. Have you ever seen that before? I'm sent to a program, I don't know, it's going to be 2 days, I'm just trying to find out where's the location of the place. Yeah, and when they're there, they're just like cruising along because they know they just have to attend the 2-day program, keep awake, learn enough things so that I can share with my colleagues, right? But imagine right now if a leader were to say, okay, I'm sending you for this program because, for the small size survey change program, because there are some challenges that we're having. We're facing this whole list of 10 problems, I wish that at the end of this 2-day program, you will be able to solve any more of these 10 things. I'm just curious, what do you think is some real problems that we need to solve right now? As a result of attending this program, you will start working on. Well, then this person will think, you mean I attend course have to do something? Then they start thinking, yeah. Then the leader starts saying, yes, we need to be very intentional because when you go through a program, it's to lead to an outcome. It's not just attend a program so you can be 2 days away from work or eat all the nice food over there. Okay? So that's why the leadership involvement is very important in making your program work. So that's where the leaders start realizing, oh, you mean I need to do that individually for each staff? Yes. If you want a very clear outcome, you need to be sitting down, just sharing. I don't expect you to memorize anything. I'll give you a script, but you need to have this conversation beforehand so that when people go into the program, they are serious. They're not tourists. They're not there just to learn a few things, but they're there because they're there to solve a real challenge and problem. And so that's why they come in with a lot more vested interest rather than just learning something useful. Okay, second part is very important as well, the whole process of running a program that will deliver results. Third area, you need to deliver an immersive program. Okay, when I say immersive program, that means your program has to be really fun, it has to be really engaging as well. The concepts have to be able to enable them to do what's going to be after the program. So for us, we tell them that before you come to our program, you must have talked to your reporting officer and discuss one real challenge that you want to work on during our program. So everybody comes in the program, there are 20 people, they'll come in with 20 different problems. We will share with them a model, okay, and then they will work on it. They will really work on it. So this is how a program looks like. It will be fun. They'll be moving around, no tables, and they'll be discussing on all the things. Some could be silo issues, some will be productivity issues, some could be like there's so many errors in this. I just want to reduce the error. And what we have done, I think, really well is we wanted them to work on a real problem that all the participants face themselves. Don't do something that your boss wants you to do, but make sure you have a vested interest as well. Because because this is to combat people who say, I have no time. Because they are very busy. I don't need to do extra work, but I need to work on something that really will get an outcome that is relevant to me. Make my life a lot easier. If I solve this problem, I'm going to be happier at work, and my boss will be happier at work as well. So it must be something what's in it for them. All right. And of course, we have this model called the DEEP model, which we use in our whole framework. Which DEEP is an acronym.